She needed just a few more minutes. Do you want to say hello, Jeanette? Because you're really new to the group.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jeanette Wilson. I am brand new to the group. This is my first meeting with you.
All right. Hopefully you will learn something or it will be able to help other people with what Lindsay has to say. Joanne?
Hey, I'm the co-chair for the health committee. Hello, everybody. Looking forward to this interesting seminar, really.
Yeah. All righty, I'm going to see. I did. I was able to get my video on. So, and I'm Sandy Unger, and I'm the chair of the health committee. Mulaney, do you want to say a few words? It's been a while.
She's having problems with her microphone, so.
All right, then she can just listen. All right, how are we doing, Lindsay?
Not the best, because I can't get this PowerPoint up on this device that I'm using. I'm trying to use another computer here. It was my mistake in where I work that I left my charger, so I have to use another computer. I'm doing the very best I can. It's just I'm trying to get my work on another device, or if you want me to start, I can on Google Slides, but I won't be able to share it, which I don't think is fair, because I want you to see my work.
Right.
I'm trying to do everything I can. It's just, unfortunately, like, I'm not able to do this, and I on this device. I don't really know what to say. I'm trying to.
Do you want to?
Pardon?
While you're trying, do you want to tell us a little bit about your program?
Yes, I can tell you about it. I do have my slides here that I'm looking at, so I'm happy to do that. And then once it starts working, maybe at the end of the meeting, I don't know how long everyone has. I want to provide the best value I can. So my name is Lindsay Sherwin, and I created the program model Create Your Shift. It's a relational and restorative therapeutic expressive arts program model for youth and young adults 14 to 24. I will just go over my agenda overview, which is, and I will put my camera on so at least you can hear me and see me speak.
Okay.
Okay. So introduction. So I'll just tell you a little bit about me and, my education and my background and what I've done, and how I got to where I am in this field, in the field of social services, mental health, and expressive arts, and really just combining them all together, which is essentially what I've done. So my background is that I have a Master of Science in Applied Sociology. I'm a professional artist. I'm a board certified drama therapist and performance therapist. And I'm also under the International Expressive Arts Therapy Association to become an expressive arts therapies practitioner, which I do practice that as well. I am also DOE certified in conflict resolution and restorative practices. So just a little bit about my professional background. I was trained in trauma-informed and resilience-focused approaches. I have assisted in the development and delivery of clinical evidence-based models contracted by ACS in both foster care and respite programs in various nonprofits across New York City. I've served both youth and families across multiple systems: preventative, juvenile, criminal justice, residential treatment for foster youth, close to home program, group homes, and congregate care settings. Within my time in these agencies, I have gotten to know the population that we serve extremely well, and I've realized that I can use my background in mental health and the expressive arts to create a model that will serve them, to support them in changing behavior, as well as really kind of finding a way to address some of the behavioral and mental health issues that we see, that prevents them, for example, like getting a job, or having good, healthy relationships with other people. So I designed this drama and therapeutic theater and restorative programs for high school students. And then I went on to work with the Bronx District Attorney's Office through the Crime Victims Assistant Unit. And I started providing, youth that were victims of crime, I started doing expressive arts therapy with them there. They'd never had this service before, so I basically started a new program. Um, and then as I moved into my career, I really started working with clients, older youth, I would say, and I created this Create Your Shift model. Um, I saw clients one to one, like individually and in groups, and I provided mostly drama therapy, and I'll talk about what that is. So, drama therapy is the intentional use of drama and theater as a psychotherapeutic approach to developing self awareness, expressing emotions, and improving relationships. It's therapeutically applied interactive processes and embodied techniques that experientially explore stories and relationships through play. So, this is how I helped the young people that I was working with, that are challenged in the sense that it's difficult to talk with them. It's difficult to use counseling or talk therapy approaches. So this was my way of understanding their story and better serving them and assisting them. So I would do things like action methods, role playing, movement, improv, experiments with new ways of being, which is really what it does. And then I would combine that with expressive arts therapy. Now, what is expressive arts therapy? Expressive arts therapy is a mental health treatment and a healthcare profession. Um, we use all of the arts, so it's the integration of psychology and creative techniques as a guide to explore feelings, develop social skills, increase self esteem, promote personal growth, health, and healing through a client's own use of the following creative arts modalities. So these modalities can include visual art making, like drawing, painting, sculpting, movement, dance, play, music, sound, poetry, expressive writing, drama, improv, storytelling, and sand. Um, and I used to use all of these approaches, and I'm going to start to talk a little bit about what the goals are of the expressive arts, and how they're more effective for our population. And when I say our population, I'm really talking about high risk clients, who don't often go to therapy or have a stigma. This is not really a therapy. This is more like a person centered, humanistic approach to healing somebody and also being relational with them. So that is the new model that I'm integrating into our system. Right now, we have a very like traditional clinical model, and I've worked all of these clinical models. So I really see the value, or at least I've tracked the value of how this can work. So just to get kind of segue into, what expressive arts is and how it's more effective, or I shouldn't say more effective, but it allows itself to give people choice and to make meaning from what they're creating. And that's why I would say it's much more um you know diverse in how it allows people to communicate and how it allows people to be relational and to share their story. And when people talk about what they need, in my professional and personal view, it's talking about what they want to express. And a lot of times that's hard to do when they don't have the words or the language, or they haven't been modeled that. And so this really allows me to facilitate that. So it's experiential. It uses creative imagination and social engagement. It helps people to grasp meaning through creative and expressive projects. It repairs trauma. It allows clients to create concrete goals using art mediums. It gets underneath hidden parts of self to expand self expression. It helps to imagine a new way of behaving in social situations and communicate themes without verbalizing. So a lot of times, the people that we serve, right, in the compromised positions that they're in, they don't know how to tell you what the problem is. And so we use a lot of the artwork to allow for themes to arise and surface into um, what we're working with. Um, so I'm really segueing into narrative puzzle pieces. Um, and that's really the project model. So what Create Your Shift is the program. Narrative puzzle pieces is really like the way I created a system to help them, instead of just saying we're going to do all these different arts today. And that's really what I wanted to show you, like on the screen. And we're still kind of working to pull it up. I don't know, like, I don't know how I can talk about it without showing it to you, but I guess because I don't really have a choice right now, I'm gonna just talk as much as I can about what it is and how I created it. I apologize. This is not what I expected, but I'm gonna do my best to share as much as I can with you about what this looks like. As soon as I have word that my device, I actually have somebody working on the device now. So as soon as I have word that it's working, I will be allowed to show it to you. So at least it can be sent to my email and I can pull it up. So I'm just going to keep going and we're going to just continue going.
Lindsay,
I hope that if you have any questions, please stop me. And
yes.
yes, sure. I'm happy to answer any questions.
So actually, you're having them paint or dance, and they're explaining to you what their painting means or what they're
Yeah.
dancing.
So, yeah, that's a great question, Sandy. So I don't explain in this process, in this discipline, right? Whether it
Excuse
be
me.
um sure, whether it be art therapy or dance movement or expressive arts where we're integrating all of the arts, poetry, writing, we don't actually ask what it means. We don't assume. What we do is allow the client to express what's coming up for them through a structured prompt. We make meaning through what they might be feeling. So, for example, if somebody drew an image on the page, I might say, and I really wish this would work soon because I have a whole client portfolio that I like to show you that I think would be really valuable so you could see what it looks like. That's so much more impactful than me just talking about it, but I'm doing the very best I can. So
Understood.
yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. So say they drew, for example, an image that comes to them. Now, usually how I spark the image from what a client creates on the page is through a mindful meditation. We do a mindful meditation or we do an embodiment. I never start if anybody's familiar with like cognitive processing or like more like talk therapy based skills, usually you're asking someone like what's the problem, right? Like, what's going on today? Like, can you talk to me about how you're feeling right now? And a lot of times, what that does it stunts the growth. It's not the growth, but it stunts somebody's ability to be flexible in the moment and really unsurface what is coming up for them. So, back to my example, say we do the meditation, we give someone a primer to express themselves and their feelings. They'll be allowed to use that prompt as an outlet to express, and then I'll give them like a color, right? Like I'll give them maybe a marker or different pencils or different objects, paints, whatever I have, and they'll choose the offering. I'll create a prompt and considering I'll take in consideration what they've shared with me verbally about why they're here, because in any process there is a goal, whether it be life coaching or creative coaching or um any type of whether it be therapy, any type of healing process, you're going to share a goal. And so we'll see what comes up on the page, and I'll point out, and a lot of the times there's troubling things that come up, and sometimes there's more pleasant things that come up, and I'll just really look at the proximity of images and objects. I'll name what I see and they'll confirm it. A lot of the times the clients that I've worked with, they don't really know why they're drawing certain things, but they'll have an interest in a color or a theme, or they'll talk a lot about their family. And so what I think is really helpful is allowing clients to use this process as a way to understand their own story and to create a new story. So what it really does is it allows it allows individuals to make sense of their world through the color, through the images, and it's really Jungian. I don't know if anyone on this call understands Carl Jung, but he really used like archetypes and symbols as a way to make meaning for people to figure out what is really behind or underneath what needs to come forth. And so that's really what we do. We make sense of things. We look at relationships in connection with what is on the page. If it's not on the page, then we use our body to release something that hasn't been released. A lot of the young men that I've worked with, they are so used to holding in emotion, so that's a way to you know release it, to script. You can also use a script. I've done scripting work where we create lines from a song and they create a new story verbally, and then maybe they'll um, respond to that script through drawing something, and that'll spark, so the layering process, the intermodal layering process of using the expressive arts is an entirely unique discipline that is not similar to art therapy, although there is connection between the way we implement it. It's its own process of layering. And so when somebody draws an image on the page, I'll just circle back so it makes sense. We don't make meaning yet. I would prefer to say the meaning is made through the client as they continue to understand their story and get to know who they are better, because any healing process is a journey of understanding the self and how the self then relates to others. A lot of the young people I've worked with, there is no real connection to self. There's low self esteem, and there's more of these clinical issues going on that maybe I'm not so interested in. I'm more interested in how one can function within the context of other people, like this um, relational response to the world around them. And because the family dynamics have been so weak, that a lot of the work that I've been looking at and research that I've been doing is how do these arts help somebody become more resilient and socially resilient with other people? How does it help people make connections to other people? And that also helps to reduce like symptoms like anger and distress tolerance and frustration and all of these things that are accumulating in a lot of the youth that I might work with, or, that we see just happening in society. Like, a lot of it is built up anger and, frustration with maybe the situation with COVID or their family. And so a lot of the times, um, this is what I've created. I'm still kind of stalling a little bit until I can show you. I really want to show you. I'm so sorry. This is just, if I had my own computer, I wouldn't be dealing with this, but I hope what I'm saying is making sense. And
It's
not
making, oh,
rambling.
I'm sorry, Lindsay.
Go
It's
ahead.
making
Sure.
sense to me. But do
Okay.
you also involve the parents or family members
I
in?
can. I absolutely can. That would become a family therapy session, and I used to practice family therapy with New York Foundling Hospital, and I had mostly Queens cases, but I've worked in the Bronx, as hopefully everyone knows, for a long time. I started this program in the Bronx. I did it for 2 years, but prior to that, I'll share that I was at New York Foundling, and I worked with kids who are, yeah, I worked with kids who were um, charged as adults, so they weren't necessarily incarcerated. And I work with their families. I did family therapy in their home, and I realized that the clinical models that our systems are contracted with. I'll just go back to this because I think this is really important. When you ask about the family, the reason I realized how critical it is to involve the family is because, well, first of all, a lot of the the symptoms or the responses that we see are derived from the family unit. But when they don't work well together, it's harder for young people to express themselves. And so when I used to do the functional family therapy, which is what they call it, um, a lot of these agencies have contracts with that model. I delivered that model, but the flaw or the innovation opportunity that I saw that I could create something different was that the arts or something expressive was missing. So a lot of the times, the family would just talk and it would be a very verbal talk therapy model. But then where is what I saw as a space to create something unique is in this opening for communication through creating something together and to creating a new story together. So I used to work for Rising Ground in the Bronx as well, and I would do family therapy using creative arts. And I realized, yeah, instead of doing this traditional like talking to each person, when I talk to each person in the family to try to figure out the underlying problem and connect them, I would use the arts as a way to build relationship, build connection so they know not only do they know what the problem is, once the problem is identified, why are they in the space with me tonight? We can give them something to do. And I really think this would be, a great way to, a great way to try it. Let me see. Excuse me. I'm just let me just finish that thought before I look to see if my email, if it was sent to me. But I'll just finish that thought. I think it's a great way to not only try but to apply um, apply bonding techniques or rapport building. When you work with a family, typically there is a conflict there. There is a relational conflict that has not been solved. And the only way to really do that is to help people build connection and build understanding and empathy. And the arts are inherently built for that. So let me do this. I am looking to see that I got the email. Give me 1 second. I believe I did. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Perfect. So I can share now. Okay. Let me do that. If I can share the screen. So,
While you're looking to share the screen, do you work like in New York City schools, either private, public?
yeah, I worked for a lot of Bronx district schools. Actually, I'm saying the Bronx because I know this is a Bronx community board meeting, so I want to be really specific. Like, I was in the Bronx. I worked at Bronx Prep Academy. I worked at ASE, Academy for Scholarship and Entrepreneurship. Um, I did drama and like this stuff there. I was like experimenting it with those high school kids. I was an acting teacher there for at least a year. Was I in another school in the Bronx? I don't think so. That was like my only school. I did restorative practices there too, so I infused a lot of that, and that really helped me, I guess, to kind of continue building the skill of creating the groups. When I worked at Children's Aid, I was really doing mostly like one to one. Let's see if I can share this
Mm.
now. Oh wait, hold on. Okay, so can you see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. All right, so there we go. You can't see me anymore, but you can see my presentation, correct?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes.
I can.
Oh, good. Awesome. Okay, so that was just my outline. I kind of told you about what I'm going to be talking about today. Um, my educational background, if anyone's interested. I think I shared that. I talked about drama therapy. I just wanted to also let you know, like, people have not really heard about this, or individuals outside of the mental health space have somewhat heard about it, but these are requirements for being a drama therapist. You have to be a professional actor and performer, and you also need to take psychology and all these classes. So just sharing with you like what it actually takes to do this. Um, so it's a lot more than social work. It's a specialty, and so people need some clarity on that sometimes. Again, here we go with expressive arts. In case that was a bit unclear as to what that is. Expressive arts therapy, as you can see, I think I read this, but it is a mental health treatment. So just going back and you can see what kinds of, with the images, what goes into that discipline and the modalities that we use. And again, we use them intermodally. Like I shared before, just going back and backtracking why it's more effective. Again, when I backtracked before and said that word, I would choose to say now, not as effective, maybe is the word, but maybe it's more, I'm suggesting that it's not in place of a talk therapy model, but it's definitely for this particular population of higher risk clients. This is what I found really works, and really anybody, really, it's effective in the sense that um, it's it's more flexible. It's allowing for a space to share, to open up, which is what any healing process model is looking to do, restoring, allowing somebody to reshape their story. We're talking a lot about clients who have faced some serious traumas. And so you can see here, just to review this, it's multimodal and skill focused. It reduces physiological and psychological effects. So we're not talking about what's happening with that like a psychiatrist might, like what's literally happening in the brain. We're really getting underneath to help somebody on a local level, on a human level, express these things, and the symptoms automatically get relieved because it's being externalized through the body. Art is a body process, and art is also a verb, right? It's a to do. Art can be to do something. It can be to express something, to externalize what is felt. Um, Again, places value on both emotional and physical experience. So that's really different than the talk therapy experience, or the talking, the cognitive process that we're all exposed to. It's not just young people, although this is harder for the young people that, we serve to be able to express. And that's why I've developed this model, but really just anyone, I want to just kind of normalize it as this is an experience that anybody would want to really try if they really want to get to that, external root cause. Build self-empowerment, motivation, resilience, provides a sense of control and voice before the verbal processing takes place. So it's allowing before that, languaging skill. What if people, aren't able to communicate their thoughts and feelings? That's what I looked at too when I started working in this process. Like that's um, something that's a real issue for many individuals. And so this, I believe, does allow for that opportunity to express in a different way. And then processes desired future states and the stories clients want to create through the use of metaphor, image, and symbol. Now, narrative puzzle pieces. So this is the model, core values. It's innovative curriculum. I've designed it basically myself with the help of supervisors and mentors. I match a participant's need with the techniques. So I look for what they need and then I pick a technique, I create an offering, and I use the evidence-based strategies to link the arts to the mental health piece. So I know what I'm looking for. So that's how that therapeutic piece ties in. And it's also, once I do that, I kind of look at the bigger picture. So I'm able to adapt it to a diverse network of youth and families. So it's not just for a high risk population. My goal is really, I should say this, to facilitate this process with many people. It's 7 steps. It's a therapeutic approach to working with foster youth predominantly. That's who I started with, but I have since expanded it out to community youth, to share their stories. And the goal is to normalize the creation of youth trauma narratives with system involved youth. Again, kind of taking that a step forward to any youth and develop a path to resilience as the result of their stories. So you can see the intervention heals from complex trauma, explores self-identity, improves the relationship with others, establishes personal goals for overall well-being, builds personal and social resilience. So these are just the main goals that I've discovered address what I'm looking to change with the clients who work with me. So the activity goals. So part 1, once I start this process, this is what I'm looking for. So part 1, uncovering the story behind the pieces. So when I say pieces, I mean the story, the parts, right? I'm just going to go back here for a second. The fragmented parts. When somebody comes to me, and in general, not just the difficult stories that I hear with the clients that I have been exposed to that have some really challenging circumstances, but anyone, there's always fragments when somebody talks about their needs, right? There's always many layers to it. And so the way I've organized it is to uncover those pieces before I give them any offerings. Then we'll maybe journal the feelings coming up through the pieces. And then the way we release that and start to embody the change of it is allowing them to discover an art process that works best for them. So it might not be art. It could be dance. It could be a movement. It could be a word, a phrase, a gesture, a written poem that I might bring to them. So that's really, we don't start with here's an art prompt. It's these other steps before we get into the creative process, and also priming for the creative process. Some people are really afraid of the arts. They think that they're not a good artist. Again, this is always reminded when I work with someone, it's process over product. So the next part 2 over here, you can see is matching uncovered themes with images. So a lot of times, images come up and themes come up, and that's part of my work, not only as a therapist, but as a creator, as a developer, to really match the themes with what is coming up, what we're working on, tying that goal like anything, right? You want to be organized about how you're helping someone. And then reflecting on the themes with the client, sharing and processing like a typical session. You'd always share and process and not let them leave until that's externalized and everything feels like it was said. If things need to be reflected on or looked at, we can always come back to it in the next session. And then celebrate newly created stories. So after their process with me, their project is complete. They've created multiple art projects. They could do anything from a dance to a performance to a script. I've written scripts with clients, which you'll see some of the projects later on. So I look forward to sharing those with you as well. So you can literally see what has been done using these techniques. All right. Now here's an activity just to give you an idea before I get into the portfolio. You create a single visual art piece, for example, based off established issues shared. You respond to the metaphor in the piece, label the image with an identified theme word. So that's getting clarity on what we're looking at. Sometimes I don't know the theme. It's really hard to identify themes with every client. It might take some time. So once I get that, I can start to, help them name what's happening here in this story. Where is this story going? Where do we want it to go in the future? Next, write a brief written response to the image. Talk to the image in the form of expressive writing, poem, scripting, dialogue. This is where we get further into the expressive modalities. Lyrics with movement and music or collage embody the images. There's different kinds of collages, intuitive or spontaneous collage, and that is a great way, a starting place for a lot of clients, not only young people but families, adults. I really tend to expand this out to various people to see how it works, and I hope we can talk more about that after. 5, select an opposite theme word from the written response. You could always do that to look at meaning. 6, place the word on a separated section of the page and respond to it with an image. Respond to that image with another theme or value word. Write a written response. There's many things you can do. What is it saying to you, or what would you like to say to it? These are ways to open up to something, and it's a metaphor, so it's not speaking directly about an issue. It's using the image to help that person communicate what's inside, which is challenging for this group of kids and probably most people. It's hard to just talk to someone, in front of someone you don't know and really be vulnerable. And I think that's what this solves as well. And then lastly, reflecting on how these different theme words feel and how they're being expressed in your life right now. And then usually with a closing, I'll provide an opportunity to share a feeling, a movement, a sound, a gesture, verbally. How is this working for you? What do you think about this process? Do you feel better? Get some data points on does this make sense to you? Do you feel more relaxed, more calm, more relational, like you can express yourself? Yes, I've heard this from the crime victims I've worked with. I've heard this from foster youth. All of the feedback surveys I've gotten on this process, yes, it has helped me feel more integrated so I can move on to the next step. If I want to pursue therapy, if I want to do something else, it's allowed them to say, I feel like I have the confidence to start to communicate with other people in my life and build those relationships, which we know is one of the most pressing matters when it comes to young people and feeling connected to their community and to other people. That hasn't been developed because they missed a few steps. And so this, hopefully, as much as it can, allows the space to do that. Even if the young person is 24, aged out of foster care, and didn't have a lot of emotional supports, we're at least getting to that. I always clarify, we can't change the life history or the past, but we can at least get them to a better step where they feel more connected and open to sharing at least a little bit about who they are and not feel so uncomfortable about it. And then honor each individual creative piece through sharing a personal slogan or quote to express meaning. You can also honor by just saying, I'm proud of you. Honoring is not always doing something, it's also phrasing and affirming. Okay, whoops. And then these are just the steps again, just written out so you can see them. Safety and rapport building, becoming aware of the body, movement, making space for choice, scripting, personifying. This is just really just, whatever the modalities are, assuming that all of those steps were completed. like I shared before, looking at the style of the story, the specific art forms. This is really just the details. These steps are like really the minute details. Um, Sharing, reflecting, reframing, clarifying the project that they want to create. A lot of the young people, mostly the young adults, wanted to create longer term projects. And then once that's established, organizing the story in meaningful ways through an expressive art project, bringing voice to the project, perspective taking, looking at the different art that they've experienced, looking at the expressive art experience as an experience for itself, and then witnessing and processing the different pieces. Where do you want to go from here? You have your story. How do you want to change it? How do you want it to look in the future? We're always thinking, I mean, this is a rule of thumb with therapy in general, like, what do I want to see in my life going forward? But with this particular model for kids, it's like, what would you like to do to change? What would you like to see? And can you practically implement it? Which is really giving them value, because it's great to do the process, but like, how am I going to use this? What's the incentive for me? And so we do talk a lot about that after experience. And then I talked about honoring and celebrating the symbols and metaphors that come out of the starting experience. And we can do that through writing action steps on a note card, creating a book, a recorded song, decorating the symbol to keep the narrative safe moving forward, or share through group discussion. Okay. This is just the trauma processing. Like, if you're interested in how I process the trauma through this model, puzzle pieces, expressing the self, and then restoring. So I guess I won't go through all of these details, but if you're interested, we can kind of talk more in detail about it. But it's really the experiential part, experiential is the expressing of the self, and then the restoring process is more of that relational piece. How does everything fit together?
Lindsay, before
Yeah.
you go on, does anyone have any questions that they would
I,
like?
I have a question.
Yes, Joanne.
I was
Go
just
ahead.
very interesting and sounds great. I just wanted to know, do you do individual or group or larger group or small
Everything.
group?
I've done everything. When I was at
I
Children's
see.
Aid, working with the young adults referred to me. Actually, I didn't get just a lot of immediate referrals. I had to go out. That's why I know a lot of people in the Bronx, because I was a very big networker. I had to go out and find groups to actually
Yes.
do this for, and find individuals that could find out about me so I could provide the service. I was under a grant that allowed me to provide individual and groups, but my goal is really to provide this to more groups. I think it's a really effective, and I know I'm using that word a lot tonight, but like, so let me think of another one, like cohesive way of helping people to really understand how they relate and respond. Again, this is super relational, this model. So, how you can relate and respond in resilience with other people. And I think that's really needed right now. I know a lot of people are talking about, how can I connect with people and how can I do that? So my professional goal is definitely to bring this to more groups. Individuals was helpful to me in developing it, but I think groups would really benefit for the therapeutic element, and then also just like the skill building part of like, how do I literally build relationships and build resilience? Well, you have to be in a group to do that. It's kind of
A small group, I would imagine
yeah,
3, 4, not more than that, because a lot of the stuff that they're gonna come up with are very, they're trauma and they're very personal. So you
Right.
have to develop trust. I'm a counselor myself, but you have to
okay,
develop trust,
yeah.
amongst the group members before they're willing to share,
Absolutely.
so
If I were to do this with a group of adults, like I do have a business just on the side that I do this with, like artists and creative people and healers and individuals that just want to do this and like explore it. That I don't go too deep. Like, it's more of like an experiential process. Like, they're allowed to, explore the art materials and like kind of just have fun and talk about wellness, right? So it's really like how you're building the dynamic and the guidelines that you're setting for the group. If this was like an expressive arts therapy group, I would have guidelines. We would talk about, how this group is going to function, like what are we going to do in the group, like kind of more in that counseling domain. Whereas like, if this was just like an art and wellness group, and I do run that, a lot of the times people come on and they're not looking for anything therapeutic, although inherently it is therapeutic.
right.
So yeah.
All right, someone else has a question. Go ahead.
Yeah, Cynthia.
Hi, Lindsay. So I'm new to the board,
Okay.
and I actually logged in a little bit late. Who is it that you're with again? What agency?
Yeah, so I used to be with Children's Aid. I developed this program with them. I started in 2020. I worked with them for 2 years. I now actually have a new job that I just got. I shared this with Sandy just because I'm not working with Children's Aid. I developed the model and I had to leave for other reasons. But I am working with another company under the New York State uh, Anti-Violence Prevention Fund, which is like a grant funded program through DOL and New York State um, for kids who are unemployed and um, are not working or out of school and are looking for a job, but don't have the skills to maintain a job. So I am like doing this. This is my day job. I'm a counselor there. I'm like the counselor of the program. I'm also building the program up. My goal is to, I'm writing a book, in the with my experience in this program and creating an activities book that people can use using these approaches. It was super difficult to do that in children's aid just because I was really focused on maintaining clients and I couldn't, it was just not enough support, not enough time. But I think most of the reason I'm able to keep going with this, and this might not be exactly addressing your question, but it sort of has to do with it, why I'm not there anymore, because I didn't have that, and now I do. So I feel like this is valuable to help other people that are working with young people find other ways to support them.
Now, another question in terms of payment or affordability. So if
Yeah.
someone's interested in, looking into your program and participating, how is that, is this a steady fee? Is this free? Is this
Um,
insurance?
it's not insurance. If you work with me privately, I do session to session, and then I do a 12-week package, which is 1,020. So it's 85 a session. You can do pay as you go, or you could do like if you want me to do like a full on program. I had some discussions with some agencies about doing that. As we may all know here, nonprofit is a little bit slow, so it takes quite a bit of time to get in with them and to get a contract. But I'm very flexible in terms of like if you want a presentation or training, I've done those. I charge 100 an hour for that, for the presentation, for the demo, depending on what you need or what you're looking for, like how to work with young people using expressive arts or using creative arts. That's all a rate, like a rate, a private rate. If the organization has funding for me to do it, then they probably would like pay me through that, or they could set aside money. But I have an LLC. I didn't set this up as a nonprofit because I would be kind of competing interests against other nonprofits that I'm working with. So that's why I chose to set this up on my own as I continue to build my content through these nonprofits. That's how I did this really. I didn't just kind of do this without a job. Like I needed the clients to test it out. Um, but yeah, it was always a challenge. I'll be honest with you. It was always a big challenge to get agencies to like pay me as a contractor. So I just ended up getting jobs with them and getting a salary and then developing the content. Now I'm looking to really, I think my goal from what I would like to do is to continue building the program where I am, create the content, and then start to get private contracts or low fee, like even like if somebody can't afford the full fee, like lower fee opportunities, like or what you call fee for service. I wouldn't say lower fee. I would have to come up with an agreeable rate for my service, whether it be with staff, training staff to implement, or to you know, to do this with like clients, with kids, and so how to service, how the need is, what the need is, looking at what the need is, and then coming up with an agreeable rate for that.
So,
Lindsay, I see we have someone else with a
oh,
question now. Esther, are you on the community board or are you someone from the community? Esther had her hand raised.
Okay.
I guess
She has to
maybe she
unmute
left.
herself, maybe.
Right.
Esther, you can unmute yourself.
itself. Or we could unmute her.
Yeah, we can unmute her. Oh, no, apparently
No,
not.
it's not working.
Wait. Nope.
Nope, I'm trying to. Wait, mute control. I'm unmuting. All right, Esther can now talk.
Okay.
Okay. Is it okay now?
Yes.
Hi,
Yes.
Lindsay.
Hi.
Are you on the community board, Esther, or are you from the community?
From the community.
All right. We'll let you ask the question.
Yes. I'm advocating for New York City bill, and it's related to banning
I don't understand.
I said I'm in school of public health, and I'm advocating for New York City bill that relates to banning misleading and false advertisement.
For what?
Misleading and false advertisement of food and food products.
What is this in relation to?
Yeah,
It's concerns childhood obesity.
I don't think what you're asking relates to what Lindsay is talking about.
No, I just want to know if an organization is doing something related to childhood obesity. Like they have programs that will reduce the recent number of youth obesity in New York City.
I don't know if any one of us
I-
has an answer to that.
I don't know
Um,
why. All right, maybe she'll get to hear an answer maybe when Lindsay finishes her presentation.
Okay.
I don't know. All right, I'm going to mute everyone again. All right, Lindsay, do you want to finish up and wind
No,
up?
somebody else had their hand up. Miguel?
Miguel?
Yeah. Miguel Dyer?
Miguel,
Hello.
did you have a question?
I do, and I am a member of the community board, not of this particular committee. But
All right,
I just I had a couple of questions. I know we haven't gone to gallery
we'll
yet.
give you one question. Go
Um,
ahead, which
my question is there hello, Lindsay. I is do you have any empirical evidence that your that your program has produced results?
that's a good question.
Is that fair?
I think it's fair. I would have asked it. Hello?
Lindsay, are you there?
I don't know where she is now.
She's sharing.
She's sharing, but we can't hear her. Is she still
No.
muted?
But she's not muted.
Yeah, I
she's
see
not-
her. I see green.
Hmm. I don't know. Lindsay, can you hear us? Wow. I guess she lost.
Technical gremlins.
Yeah, she said we've had technical gremlins all night.
Yeah.
I don't know. But it's a good question, Miguel. Yeah.
Well, I think with any new program, I think the results
We'll
have
take them.
will take time to realize. I know
Oh.
that my experience, when you do work with children and they start to improve, their parents tell you, things are better. And I think in a small counseling situation, that usually that usually comes up. I know art therapy is effective, and that's
Oh,
certainly,
yes.
beautiful,
certainly,
you know.
certainly.
Without a doubt,
And
Joanne.
pardon me for interrupting, but I really think I just wanted to see if she did in fact have empirical evidence, and I am a little concerned about the fee structure. I think that it's fair to say that most of these kids don't have $1,080.
Right. It would
Right.
have to, you're right. It would have to be through
So
some
It have to be through a
organization.
program, and I think that's what she's selling through program,
right,
Right.
to a
but
nonprofit.
I think that's her LLC. So I wanted to be clear that she, if in fact she had empirical evidence that this is actually working, one thing. The second thing is, you know, I know she brought up, you know, coming up to a better fee, I guess. But I know that most of the people that I've come across that would probably benefit from this program do not have $1,000 sitting around.
Right. That's understood.
So I just wanted to get more clarification on that. Again, I am not I'm not on the committee of health and social services, but as a community board member, I'd like clarification on that.
Right, okay. I don't
I-
think
I-
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't.
Pat, I actually asked a similar question about whether it would be like an out-of-network provider,
Right.
it's a reimbursement. You know, it's important to know these details.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'm gonna mute myself and see if she can't get back to us.
Yeah. We lost her, and we were all trying.
Okay.
Wow.
See if I can send her a private chat.
Let me.
Let me try
Oh,
that.
maybe I have a phone number. Let me see. Let me see if this works. All right, you
I'm
do
gonna
that.
tell her-
I'll do this.
To be fair, I think they were, honest questions, and I really feel like she's trying to get back to us, and I think she's still talking.
She may, yeah, all right, let me see.
Right, you do one thing, Joanne. I'm going to
Okay,
do the other. I'm going to try to call her. I have a number, but I don't know if it's an old number of hers or a new one. So let me try.
Hear you, Lindsay.
I tried sending her a message directly in the chat, but she has not
Okay.
responded.
Right, okay. All right, let me see. We're trying. Hello? Hello? Someone just hung up on me. Not the number. I have not been successful.
I think she's talking and I think she thinks we can hear her.
Hear her.
Right.
Cynthia, write it down and put it up on there you go.
We tried. Yeah.
That's strange.
Very strange. See,
We can
because
all-
I know that they use a lot of art therapy in psych centers and it works out very well. And there are, art therapists, but those are people that are in a facility.
Right.
And,
I think
you know-
most of these programs, like for schools will pay, say the $1,000 and have, a class or a teacher training. I think that's probably where it's going.
Also, is she training peers? Because peer groups are very important. And if you can get someone to work with the peers, that can help too. I
guess
don't
she's
know
not at the camera either.
It's not working. Well,
should we
I don't know what to do.
should we should we give her another you know, should we give it another opportunity to join the meeting?
We've tried everything.
Yeah, I know this is.
And I even had a let me see if I could send her an email.
We can't hear. I like that.
I'm gonna try to send her another. I mean, we're trying.
I like the sign. I
Yeah,
love it.
it's
She's presenting.
She is.
Okay. Subject. I'm writing. We can't hear you,
I did the same.
but I'm sending her an email. Maybe.
Oh, good, good.
Just so we're all on the same page, my two questions were empirical evidence of its effectiveness and her fee schedule.
We could have her come back another time if she
Oh,
wants.
and there's Malcolm.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. I sent her the email. Let's see what happens. I told her we can't hear you. And nothing.
She seems to be completely unaware.
Right.
Well,
Because
to
she
say
can,
to say the least. I know it went through.
if she's sharing the screen, then she sees us.
Right, but I sent her an email. Remember, she said she could,
Right.
she has two different, like I have two different devices that I'm using.
Hmm.
So I wrote, please be aware we can't hear you. That's weird. And we just can't. Oh, I just thought we saw her.
Yeah. I think she's trying to fix it. Looks that way.
We can't hear you, Lindsay. You know what? I'm asking everyone, should I invite her back at another time to finish up and make a shorter presentation, like for December or January?
She's
Anybody?
trying something.
Do you
Excuse me?
think we can ask her to share her PowerPoint?
That would be great.
Well,
Oh,
yeah,
we've done that in the past. Yeah.
yeah. I don't know. So we just
And
can't
she's
hang up.
doing she's doing switch audio. She's doing all this stuff. It's not working.
Nothing is working. All right.
Is it possible? Is it possible that we?
Can we move on to the next item and maybe come back?
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
the next item is new business, old business. I don't know.
Well,
I
and
did
then
not-
there's the gallery, so we can maybe do the gallery. And
Well,
then
we
she
are
comes-
doing the gallery because they asked the questions and they were from the gallery.
Right, but they're like, for instance, the person who asked the question before,
Cynthia,
and if Miguel has another question,
right?
not related this to the presentation.
I don't.
Oh, okay.
All right.
I posited my two questions. I don't know where she. I don't know if she'll be back. I know she had technical difficulties beforehand.
Is that phone number 646-992-2010? Could that be her number?
I had 917-705-1740.
I'm gonna try that number. I'm gonna try it.
You're gonna try whichever.
I'm gonna try the 646.
Where did you find that one?
It's on the screen. I'm looking right at it.
I don't have it.
Pardon me, ladies. My sauce is starting to bubble. I shall be right back.
Enjoy.
I'll be right back. I just gotta turn
Wait.
it down.
Okay, great.
You back?
I'm on the call. I called in. Yeah, I called in because I didn't know what to do.
Okay.
Oh, thank God.
Oh, all right. Lindsay, what we're thinking is if you made most of the presentation, we could have you come back to finish up at another time if you want.
Yeah,
What-
there's still more to see if you would like to finish, and I'm happy to finish, and then come up with some ideas, you know, make sure our time is being used, you know, valuably and effectively, or in the ways that you want this to work, or could work.
Well, there were two questions. There were some questions.
Questions?
Maybe you can address those now. And
Sure.
then also we were thinking if you could send the
The
PowerPoint
PowerPoint.
to maybe Sandy, and Sandy can share it with the
No, I
you
think
know,
send it to the
office, and then they can send
office,
it
to
whoever
Jeremy.
needs it.
Right,
Okay,
send it to
yeah.
the office, not to me, but to the office.
Right.
Okay.
The other, well, one of the questions was, what empirical evidence do you have that your program is working?
Yeah, that's a great question. So because I'm not, I mean, the evidence is in the stories and in the video. I actually made a movie on this, which I can also share too, in one of the Bronx high schools. I didn't work there, but I had an intern work on this project, or one of the projects I took part in, I should say, was with partnering with Bronx High School for the Visual Arts, and Annan Place, if anyone knows. I think it's near Pelham. But I had an intern working with me, and you know, I tracked it through the film. It's like the ethnographic evidence, like people sharing their stories on film, like that, or like the project, like qualitative data, not really quantitative, because I'm not affiliated with a university that could do like a control group and like a group, you know, like that takes a lot of,
Right,
I guess, money and I don't really, I think the evidence is needed, but in similar programs, their evidence was more like data from the past, like with trauma, but then their program kind of spoke for itself in terms of how many people they served, or like what kinds of activities were successful. So I kind of see myself modeling it in the same way, like to get a university to do research, because that's really how things just work. But like if you're not affiliated, then that could be hard. So the data collection is difficult, especially when like I don't have the capacity to really do that, something to look at. I think what I'd really like to focus on is how to get this to more people and more places. And then if someone along the way is like, I'm really interested in how to collect data on this. I know most of the research people in this field, and most of the data that we have is qualitative. It's just like testimonies and stories and video. It's not, I mean, there is some research that's written in terms of measuring symptoms, and if the symptoms go down, like if you're interested in music therapy, like definitely that does affect, for example, positively change the cognitive functioning in the brain when people listen to music. They're able to remember things better, and the music therapy helps. Art therapy reduces like symptoms of anxiety and depression. You know, it's like there's research backed up on these modalities, but not necessarily like this particular my model. My model is built off of the effectiveness or the patterns that have been exposed through the techniques years over years, you know, time and time again through how this is actually working for people.
It was in response to my first question. Is that
she has qualitative movies, etc., about the
Qualitative.
program, but no real actual data.
empirical
Yeah,
evidence?
because
Right.
I can't because of, and the reason, and I wish I did, but just because it's so
Well,
hard to
because it
build
costs
out a
money,
program.
don't it? Yeah.
It costs money, yeah, and you have to get like a research psychologist or like a person that works in a university to do it. And it's like you have to get kids, and you have to get a control group, and you have to
Sure.
like have it funded and all that kind of stuff. And I don't really know how to do that. You know, I think what I've done was pretty cool in itself, just like trying to do this in like an agency in the South Bronx with no support.
Sure.
I basically, you
We'd
know,
love
it's
to
just,
see that that PowerPoint. Again,
yeah,
I
also
my the it was a two-pronged question. The second one is I realize you're an LLC, and I don't know if you heard me, but I know that a lot of the people that could benefit from this don't really have $1,080 hanging around. What is it that you are doing personally to expand access to your particular modality? Um, as far as this goes.
yeah. I think in the public sector, it's really partnerships. I'm not
Mhm.
necessarily looking for a lot of money for that. Like, I mean, I do need to get something because of the knowledge and the time and
Sure.
the capacity. But in that way, like, it's more of like the offerings. The way I've built a practice on this or a business is through like private offerings and like working with people individually. Like through the public work, like it's not really been paid out with contracts. I've tried to get contracts with people, but or like different agencies when we've been meeting, and then I changed jobs, so it was a little bit difficult. But the public, discussion is really partnership in my view, and coming up with a reasonable rate to provide this as an ongoing contractor, which is what I would have to do. The private work is just people finding out about me through my website. I have a network, which I created a network for artists and creative people that would benefit from this holistically, not for therapy. I don't sell it as therapy. It's really just a way to use the techniques to feel better and to integrate those themes and create those outcomes without saying like I run a therapy practice, because I really don't.
Last question. Are you a licensed therapist?
I'm board certified, not licensed.
Okay.
Licensed for creative. I will to say this, and this has come up with another board that I presented to. Whereas, so there is no license for expressive arts therapy. There's no license for
Sure.
drama therapy. These are modalities that don't have a license. But New York State is the only state in the country that has a licensed creative arts therapist credential. I did not go that route because I did not do the LCAT, which is like the route of, like, say you studied art therapy, you would get
Mhm.
like an LCAT with that.
But you are
Um,
board certified.
Yeah, I'm board certified. I
Thank
still
you
have
very
more to
much.
do.
You've answered all my questions.
Oh,
Thank
good.
you.
Okay, good.
All right,
Awesome.
Lindsay,
Yeah.
I'm asking this to everyone in the group. Do you want Lindsay to come back, or should she send us her information to the board with the PowerPoint and her information on what she is trying to impart to the other groups within the community?
I'm good.
Yeah, I think the only thing I would ask for is contact information.
Yeah,
Mhm.
And the PowerPoint would be really
Okay.
helpful.
Yep.
right.
And also, do you the DOE is using restorative justice in its counseling and with teachers, and that's something I guess you could be involved with if you contacted, the Department of Education, the central office. They might
Yeah.
be
Amen.
able to put
Amen.
you in there because
Exactly.
they're asking the teachers to do it, and the teachers are not really trained for that. So, that might be something that you could even do teacher training too,
Yeah.
Right.
I kind of
And
have contact
that
there.
might even be
Please let
lucrative.
her finish. Let Joanne finish,
Sure,
please.
sure.
Go ahead,
No,
Joanne.
I think that, that maybe even doing teacher training, because every week or every month, they have personnel development and in all the schools, and we have hundreds and hundreds of schools. And they do a lot of them, they do training and restorative justice. So you might want to go that route as well and check that out,
Right.
because they don't know what they're doing. Trust me, I know.
Yeah.
Well,
I think
yeah.
that's a whole conversation on getting in. I've gotten into those schools through being hired through programs, like to be a consultant. But like, if I just kind of had a shingle up and said, I have a program for you, do you want this? I've tried that as well, and it was hard because they didn't know anybody and they wouldn't answer me. So
I'll keep trying.
Right.
yeah. Yeah.
I guess,
Have you-
yeah, go ahead.
I think maybe we should sign off at this point. I'll tell Jeremy to stop the, I'm gonna give him a call to get him back.
Right, but I think, do we have any
Esther has her-
gallery
Is there any other
questions
questions?
from anybody in the public?
Esther
Or
has her.
open?
Well, they've
really
already
think
asked,
that
Joanne.
It's
Okay.
just.
Esther
I don't
has
know if
something
I
to
can
say.
get access to the PowerPoint.
Go ahead, Esther.
Can I get access to the PowerPoint? I'm not a member, just a community,
Oh,
a board member, but a community member. If I can get the PowerPoint of a presentation.
sure, we could send it to the office,
Right.
the community board office, if Lindsay sends it, and then you can get it from the community board office, sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
If you guys make me burn my sauce, I swear to God.
What?
Well,
I
go,
said if you
go
make
send your sauce.
if you make me burn my sauce, I swear.
Oh, don't. We're finished.
The only other thing is that Esther did ask the question on a separate matter about programs that are focusing on prevention of childhood obesity. I guess that's something that we need to follow up on and try to see if we can get somebody
We
to.
can explore that, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Also,
That's something we could definitely do. And then if you pay it, if you look at our agendas and come to our meetings, then
Hi,
then
Jeremy.
you'll
Your
be aware
mailbox
of
is
it.
full.
Oh, Maron.
Hello?
Oh, he didn't answer?
Hello? Jeremy? Hello? Then he called. This is weird. Oh, come on, Jeremy.
So Sandy, you try calling me?
Yep, there you go.
Yes, we tried calling you. We're ready to sign off. We're finished.
So I'm gonna stop the recording.
Thank you. Thank you for your
Thank you.
time, Lindsay.
Take care now.
you.
Thank you,
Thank
you.
Lindsay.
Good night,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Don't forget to send us
Thank you.
the